the longest time now, one of my favourite stress relievers has been to boot up Geometry Dash, make a cup of nice warm Milo, and grind demons late into the evening. I bet quite a few of you sluts can relate to doing this at least once. It's been a pastime for all of us. If not grinding out demons just a good couple minutes slowly adding on to a level that will most likely be only seen by 50 people if we're lucky. Geometry Dash has collected a reputation over the years of being a very rage-inducing and monotonous game, but that could actually be further from the truth. From my experience, nothing takes away from the anxiety of an impending doom more than going into the search bar with the demon filter on and going to a random page. These weird demon sessions have undoubtedly contained some of the most interesting memories I've ever had within this game. Every single time I've gotten vastly different results. If you think the Mario Kart item box is a soulless Discordian mess and you haven't seen anything yet, just nothing but a vast ocean of levels from sometimes upwards of 6 years ago that no one has ever played since 2015. If a level was decently challenging at one point, since Demon Park was released and RobTot sneezed at it once, you can find it here. I'm often surprised by the quality I find, and other times I'm left disgusted. Sometimes you'll get an absolutely excellent hidden gem from years past, or sometimes you will find Sword Dance. Insane Demons, the weird middle child between hard and extreme demons. Much less respected than hard demons, but much less relevant than extremes. It's nobody's favourite difficulty. It feels like almost every insane demon has been thrown to the wolves. Not like there's a reason either. It's just been established by this point that the quality for them has been quite lacking. It's a fucking miracle that they even exist to begin with. Insane demons have existed for a way shorter time than you think. I think I need to take you back for a moment of time, a long time ago. 2013. The year RobTop released Update 1.3 and Rick Ross bragged about date rape. The more important thing along these very similar incidents, level Demon Park was released. A level so difficult that it changed the course of Geometry Dash forever. Like, come on, it would really suck if everyone had to put extreme roads in their title. Despite what people have said about Demon Park, it actually wasn't that influential. Like, let's be honest here, I doubt everything would be insanely different if Demon Park didn't exist. The Hell theme was already a thing back in 1.3. Most of you watching probably know of the Hell series, which was in 1.2. Anyway, Rob adds this big fancy new difficulty. Every single GD player simultaneously shits the bed and realizing they can't actually beat any of them and everyone's in panic. I know this may sound weird considering that there's now a massive collection of players that eat Red World Rebirth for breakfast every morning, but back then it was a different story. The same thing happened again when Clubster was released but it took people thousands of attempts to beat it. Basically what I'm saying is people really used to suck at this game, but eventually in 1.7, the funky update, things actually started to get better. People actually managed to sit down, buckle their fuckle, and started picking up some steam. I think the best example of this is the semi-famous Deadly Clubster battle.
Oh, my nuts hurt so much I fell on them.
When Aeon Air accidentally beat the level in one attempt practice run, and took the second biggest L of all time. For all you people who aren't massive virgins like me who have started playing in 1.8, remember that one time you accidentally beat Deadlocked in practice? Imagine that, but instead of feeling like shit for 15 minutes, you lost out on 300,000 subscribers and 25 million views. By the way, Deadly Clubster isn't even an Insane Demon, so we're not even fucking close to Insane Demons yet. Alright, skip to early 1.9. And instead of a difficulty gap, it's more like a massive fuck-off canyon. And when you've got a canyon that's wider than Kim Kardashian's ass, no one can fucking cross it anymore, especially without the bridge. That bridge being a step between the two sides which marry together to create the ability for one to cross to the other side interchangeably. Every single canyon needs a well-made bridge. Otherwise you'll just end up at the bottom, unable to progress further at the towering walls of the canyon that are so perilous that it's impossible to cross. That bridge can't support its weight on its own, which is why it needs pillars to carry the bridge. And without that support, the whole bridge collapses, leaving everyone stranded at the bottom helpless. Geometry Dash in 1.8 was in this exact situation, where it had to cross the gap of X-Step V2 and Silent Clubstep. The demon difficulty was that bridge, but there was yet to be any pillars placed. The Geometry Dash canyon expanded further and further as players got better, and it was no longer possible for demons to hold their own weight. Eventually various players came together to place the support pillars in the form of the four main difficulties at the time. The easy demon, the very easy demon, the medium demon, the hard demon, and the hell demon? Forget that one because it was basically thrown into everything like tomato sauce. 4 difficulties, very easy, easy, medium, hard. Simple and straightforward. And then Cataclysm and Nice Carp and Diablo X came to thing, and the Extreme Demon was born. That was enough to hold everything up for a little while, but one side of the beams was still left weak and shaky, so many players quickly scrambled to find out which would be the necessary pillar to fit inside the gap. But they were too focused with practicality rather than endurance, so it was left undecided until 2015. I'm just kidding, of course it was called Very Hard Demon, what else did you expect? This game is run by a bunch of stupid monkeys. For a while everything between the two demons were just called whatever the first thing they pulled out of their thesaurus. Very Hard Demon, Deadly Demon, Hitler Demon. I'll be honest here, I don't actually have a fucking clue who the first person to call. But for convenience, let's all just assume it was some dude in late 1.9 for some reason who decided they should take the existing insane and translate it to demons. If we use that logic, then extreme demons should be called demon demons, which would look pretty fucking stupid in front of a Nexus title, I bet we could all agree. Although calling them demon demons would hold up about as much weight as calling them literally anything else, because these were all unofficial fan ratings. As funny as this image is, all this dumb shit isn't actually as far out as you think. A lot of these demon difficulties could have been accepted just fine if they didn't have a goofy ass sprite with about 500 rows of teeth. But that never happened. Everyone agrees on anything, and everyone is happy with all the demon difficulties, and people can finally shut up and play a nice round of audio excursion. I'm just kidding. Think of an insane demon right now. Anyone would do. What pops in your mind? Let me answer another question. Was it good? I bet your answer to that second question at best was a level that was worth a caring shrug, and at worst, sword dance. I doubt that you thought about any levels like the 4 Elements or Luster. Excluding the most popular ones, probably more something along the lines of Ruined Journey or Forsaken Neon V2. Obviously that won't apply to every single one of you, I'm just assuming at least a few people thought about something along the lines of Future Funk 2 or Glizzy. But for the most part you all probably thought about something mediocre and messy. How come? There's tons of insane demons out there. Why'd you gravitate towards the stinkers? Well naturally, our brains are programmed to remember the bad more than the good, but that can't be it, right? How come people don't view medium demons or 7 stars the same way they view insane demons? After all, it is just an arbitrary difficulty. How come there's a general looming feeling of disgust and contempt for insane demons? A feeling that's kinda hard to recognize because no one ever really mentions it. There aren't many shitty rant videos going on about them or anything. It's not that type of disgust, it's more like the I hate them but I don't really think about them enough to really mention it, but at the same time if you're bringing it up, sure, I'll give my opinion on them, type of thing. I think you can tell by this video's crazy length that finding out why things are like this is not so simple. The lack of resources that exist about this topic is proof of concept. I've witnessed almost no people try to answer it. Insane demons suck lol is just basically a fact at this point. It's also very difficult to answer the question objectively. Someone who plays exclusively 4-star levels and someone who plays extreme demons will each have very different ideas of what they think contributed to the downfall of insane demon. This game has a massive variety of levels, decoration styles, lengths, gameplay types, layouts, and difficulties. No two people have the same question. Each single person has different biases that would make them come to the final conclusion. While researching this, I went out of my way to answer several people in Discord how things got this way. But every single response I got also happened to be, unfortunately, have the ability to be disproved with ease. They also happened to have wildly different answers. The only thing consistent about them was, I don't know. All these people, not a single one could pin it down, although Matt got a decent attempt in. I bet a lot of you didn't even know that there was any discord between players and insane demons because it really takes a while to notice. You had to be in this community for a long while to notice it, and you had to be in there for an even longer time to really pay attention to it. Most people that joined this game after 2.1 was released probably have no idea. This especially applies to people who only play easy levels. When people like Rookie are confused, it's like, of course he was fucking confused, the cunt's only got 7 demons. Here's 3 people that I chatted with on Discord. Here's their star, demon, and CP count. You already know without any more context given that they already have very different answers than what I've asked them, and evidently, they did. It's just generally accepted by most people that insane demons aren't as good as the other ones. Even till this day, people still share this sentiment. Even top players such as Numptaloid, who once said, insane demons are objectively the worst difficulty in the game.
Yeah, this is actually like an insane demon or something. Insane demons are just objectively the worst difficulty, by the way. Every level that's an insane demon is just trash with like 3 exceptions.
Wow, Nepester, what an interesting comment. Now if you don't mind me, let me explain with a short little segment on why that is some fucking bullshit. Unless Nepester happens to have a knack for exaggerating for at least 3300%, I firmly stand by the fact that you should not take his word on that one. Interesting. It's almost like Nepester doesn't play Insane Demons and hasn't touched any since 2.0, and I've been sitting here in the background silently playing Insane Demons for over 6 years while slowly increasing the size of the specific folder that happens to be a bit larger than 3. Specifically to present to those like Nepester who are ignorant to the plethora of good Insane Demons accumulated over the years. And you know what? I've got 20 more minutes on my hands, I can spare the whinge for later. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. For a difficulty the community has such discontent with, it's surely strange how there's so many silver linings that would flatten 1 trillion lines. You also may notice how this folder isn't just full of levels that are decently adequate. These are great Insane Demons, not just pretty alright ones. You aren't gonna find Ultimate Demon Mix in this folder. Ever since 2.0. Oh wait, yeah, 2.0. 2.0 is, some of you know, as the update with the robot and the triggers. Most of us know as the update where everything went to shit. If any of you were paying attention, then you would know that 2.0 is really when Insane Demons started to get rolling. Before 2.0, there was only a few Insane Demons because most Insane Demons 1.9 and earlier were only becoming them purely by accident. They just happened to hit a target that hasn't even existed yet. You might actually have noticed that most of the 1.9 Insane Demons are actually pretty good. Levels like Rupture and Horntail Cave weren't really made with the purpose of being hard, but being unique and creatively driven, expressive projects. I think purposely making a level just for its difficulty is one of the biggest reasons why Extreme Demons turned to shit. Oh wait, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'll save you for later, my friend. Anyway, Insane Demons got really big back in early 2.0, which as everyone knows, was a big pile of shit. I have a feeling that in the big boom of Insane Demons at early 2.0 permanently fucked up the reputation of them. There was also a huge uptick in them in early 2.1. We've recently matched the Insane Demon production, well not me in particular. The only contribution I've actually delivered to them is I helped someone to fix some bugs once, but you get what I fucking mean. 2.1 has been going on since the Harding administration, and people have finally got bored of making 6-person 4-star glow collabs, and they actually did something interesting for a change. The problem with that is when you got a team of people who spend all day wanking off to Team Proxima levels, they tend to not put out their best efforts. What I'm trying to say here, these guys aren't going to outdo Heinz anytime soon. And we've seen an influx of levels like Coronavirus that somehow managed to bubble to the surface and confirm the confirmation biases of people that don't touch Insane Demons, except for that one occasion where the shit levels seem to become popular for some reason. Maybe it's just a case of people ignoring all the shittier elements of almost every other difficulty, because 24 and 1876 are very different numbers, and you kinda seem to notice all the shitty parts of the ones you play a lot more. But either way, Insane Demons to be kinda shit on over the years with the things that are in every other difficulty besides autos, and are even more present in Extreme Demons, which almost rules out completely what I mentioned a second ago for being the true reason Insane Demons have been treated like the worst thing since sliced dick. 8-star levels weren't permanently scarred by those Flappy Bird levels for 1.5. So why were Insane Demons of all things struck to the unbreakable curse of 2.0? Every single other difficulty doesn't have a reputation which was entirely created by their weakest link. Why were Insane Demons unable to recover? Maybe because they take longer to make? Not very likely. Maybe because they're too hard? Not super likely either. The hardest level ever made has been one of the most contentious titles for over 8 years now. Insane Demons certainly aren't the hardest levels ever made, but they're still pretty difficult. People gotta respect the challenge, you know. Insane Demons are still pretty difficult today. Last month it took me about a week to get 92% on the shredder. Insane demons at their very low end will still take about 500 attempts to beat, so that can't be it either. Oh wait, I've got it. The Demon's List is quite possibly the single worst influence this game's ever had. Like, it was a good effort at first, just a simple list that categorizes the hardest GD levels, nothing to scoff at, right? Well, that would be the case if people didn't treat the Demon List like it was a holy scripture that wasn't the most important thing in the entire fucking universe. Well everyone, buckle your fuckles cause this is decently truncated history lesson number 2. Back in 1.6 there was no official Demons List and everything was a bit all over the place. The number 1 hardest level was always known pretty well. Back in 1.4 you had garbage, shit and garbage, and finally, buckle your pants. Skip to 1.9. YouTube was completely saturated by these shitty top 10 hardest level lists. People from like Andromeda or GD Hamburger 556. You always got these completely weird and unknown levels that populated these lists. Literally anything could have been the number 1. Fexty, Cataclysm, the Big Black. To this day, I wonder what the thought process behind these hacky top 10 lists were. Bloodbath at this point hadn't been released, so up until then we needed a way to categorize things. So one day, some lads that I can't be asked right now to look up made the OG Demon List. Cataclysm at the top, Silent Club step number 2, like all great accurate lists. By the way, for reference, Insane Demons didn't actually exist back then in these early to mid 1.9 lists. For example, this one here refers to both of them as very hard and impossible. By about November 2015, all the Unreal levels were told to fuck off, so the list didn't have all these shitty verified hacked impossible levels to clutter everything up. So, now we got a rule that in order to have your level have the prestige of being the hardest, you gotta get that puppy approved by RobTop first beforehand. A problem with that is, you know, it wasn't the most difficult task to get your level rated back then. It's not like now you gotta bust your ass for 150 hours or suck Viper's dick to get a feature level. For the most part, almost anything can get rated back at 1.9. That means tons of people could claim a top 40 title pretty easily. This was also the time where a majority of levels on the list were insane demons and the hardest of hard demons. People weren't quite good enough to crank out Acropolis in 12 attempts yet. Levels like Ultrasonic and Acropolis were actually some of the most well-known levels in the entire game, and more importantly, they were for the most part actually pretty good. Despite all the prestige around creating the hardest level, no one really went for it. Any levels that were on that list kinda got there by accident. The main goal back then wasn't actually to create anything insanely difficult. 27th place was more than enough for most creators to settle with in 2015. Most of the big important levels back then were created by people that actually knew what they were doing. If you look up the lineup back then, you'll see people like Xenthic Alpha, Skin, Majako, Sobros, Con Artist, all legendary creators. Obviously you had a few shitty levels like Creeper Force or Uprise, but no one really cared about those because they sucked ass and no one wanted to play them. There was no real incentive to play hard Insane Demons because for the most part all you really got out of the completion was some neckbeard cred. There was a couple more reasons why they didn't really have to go any harder. They had to verify their own levels. You couldn't hack them either because 1. Hacked levels can't be rated. 2. The mute troll came around in 1.9 to remind everyone that actually hacking exists. And the second people were caught hacking, they were instantly blasted off the face of the flat earth. Unless they were big enough to get away with it, of course. Well, it actually happened before 1.6 because the Korean community is made up of a bunch of absolute heartless, unforgiving savages. But the hacking bullshit really peaked in 1.9. After the mute troll came along, most YouTubers that were hacking instantly caved in to avoid getting blown off the face of the earth for having suspicious wave movements after playing a hardy round of Decode. There was no real player that could legitimately beat a super hard level that would blow everyone away. The only time where Extreme Demons really gained traction for being beaten were levels like Cataclysm, The Ultimate Phase, Ice Carbon Diablo X. That changed completely when Riot verified Bloodbath. For you people that weren't around and joined this community after the Bloodbath was verified, you have no clue how massive the hype and mystique was around that single level. It was so much harder than everything else and nothing even came close for an entire year. There were hundreds of thousands of people on the edge of their seats wondering if Bloodbath would ever be beaten. Quite a few people, including me for a short time, thought that level was impossible, and even if it wasn't, it might as well have been. When Riot did the improbable and pulled it off, the community completely shit its pants. At the very tail end of 1.9, the entire landscape of this game changed. The legacy of Bloodbath was massive. About a month after its release, the best of the best players could only get about a third into it. It took Quasar 10 months to finally beat the fucking thing and topple it. It single-handedly forced every single top player to upgrade their hardware. Why do I mention Bloodbath? Because when it released, people watched the video on the 12-minute long Marvel trailer that came along with it, and they also looked at the number below the video. The second people noticed the insane views and downloads Bloodbath received, they immediately got work on the next Bloodbath. Because after seeing this shit, how could you fucking not? Levels got notoriety for being difficult before this, but none of them ever came remotely close to the hype that Bloodbath got. Now people realize that you could actually just get someone else to beat your level for you, while simultaneously realizing there was a giant market for this shit. The floodgates were open. Nothing could ever reach number 1 on the Demons list, so people had to settle. So it was big news whenever a level reached anything in the Demons list, even if it was 14th or something. A lot of really shitty creators took advantage of this, and since Insane Demons at the time was still worthy to get on the list back in early 2.0, naturally creators starting to make a shit ton of those. Within 2 weeks, some guy could get a shitty creator team filled with a bunch of no-names to shit out some parts that don't even get tested or balanced. The verifier beats the level, and the host gets 300,000 views in their own G-News section. Levels like Madhouse, Entwined Room, and Ruined Journey all came along to collect their free promotion, and then eventually everyone forgot about them after about a month. The cycle never ended. And eventually, by the time mid 2.0 came around, even then there were still about half a dozen Insane Demons still barely holding on. After the list got saturated by Extreme Demons, all the Insane Demons were just there to clog everything up. After the list was overtaken 100% by Extreme Demons, there were no Insane Demons anymore to leave to clog anything up. Sure, sometimes something like Heartbeat would come out that would catch people's attention, but for the most part it was all Extreme Demons. Insane Demons would actually have a little bit of comeback in early 2.1 when the top 50 became top 100, and there was some room for them again. But as you sluts might remember, early 2.1 was a pretty shitty time for levels, and most of those sucked too. The patterns didn't repeat for the next extension list because there were so many Extreme Demons by that point that even 150 slots had no room for them. Insane Demons kinda went off and did their own thing for a long time. That's quite unfortunate because around this time levels started to actually getting good again. The list wasn't filled with levels like Erebus or Devil Vortex, and it was more along the lines of something like Wazaretta or a Coup. Levels that actually had shit to bring to the table beside its relevance. That's because for the longest time people cared about Extreme Demons, but they didn't really trust them. If you go to any livestream chat of some top player and playing the next big thing, you won't really find anyone talking about how much they enjoy the level of how good they are, but instead of how hard it is, asking endlessly what position the level is on the Demons list. No one really cared if the level was any fun, had decent effects, or even synced. Only about 15 people played them anyway, so everyone continued on placing difficulty as higher importance than quality. Too many times to count at this point, levels were too hard to be fun, were nerfed, was objectively better, and everyone lost their shit because some number on some website wasn't high enough. Black Blizzard anyone? You all know all the shitty parodies about people talking about the red, the hell levels, the unbalanced gameplay, and all the straight fly. You probably don't know who started it, but I do. You may be surprised to find out that that person was... Well, not exactly, but he made the biggest push. Things like Hell Levels and Straight Fire have been around since the game was released, but he really brought it to the forefront. He was one of the first people to get really shitty levels right up to the top of the list, simply because no one else besides Elite Few could. No one else was really good enough to match his skill at the time. In 2.0, Crazy Man 50 was one of the best players this game had to offer. A good creator on the other hand, not so much. Back when he verified Conical Depression in mid 2.0, just like everything else in mid 2.0, it was rated, and chucked it number 2 on the Demons list, right behind Bloodbath. At the time, this is the closest the level ever had to toppling it. But as all the natural difficulty debates settled in, people also started to focus on something else. This level looks and plays like getting your dick stuck in a Chinese finger trap. Not a single person thought Conical Depression was a genuinely good level, including me. And the only reason it was rare in the first place was because how hard it is. Which thankfully that mentality is extinct for the most part nowadays. Oh wait! This wasn't the only time Crazy did this though. A while later he verified overrated people in the community. Usually I tend to disagree with these types of things, but this one's absolutely spot on. I know I'm talking about extreme demons, and especially Crazy, in a negative light, but I challenge you to name 10 good levels that entered the top 50 from 2.0. I bet you would love to relish the challenge. Despite how shitty they were still getting promoted from that weird trend that had existed for a brief period in the Geometry Dash news trend, which for all you that only joined in 2.1, yes, that was a big thing. Most of them had their own segment dedicated towards the demons list because they didn't reach 10 minutes yet. These news channels came to the defense and kept the extreme demons list from becoming a joke. Well, kept for a little bit, it's pretty much a joke now. Looks like extreme demons are doing pretty well for themselves. Let's see how insane demons are doing.
Bruh.
Oh no. Alright, at this point you may have been wondering why I've been rambling on about Carmel for a decent time span. You may have noticed that this whole section has barely mentioned the whole focal point of this near feature length video. Well, I did that specifically because that's how the rest of the Geometry Dash community slowly stopped talking about insane demons, while instead putting all their focus on extremes. The narrative of this video mirrors closely what happened in reality. The community found its new big toy as soon as insanes weren't needed anymore. Although their last moment before they disappeared from the spotlight was early 2.1, it'll be more accurate to say it was early 2.0. Early 2.1 was most likely the most bland and tepid this game has ever gone. Around this time, the state of the featured section was so bad that the phrases generic level and CP grinding were invented specifically for it. Playing any level that came out in early 2.1 was like watching an episode of Dora the Explorer. The second you were done with it, you would have forgotten it in an instant. The levels from that era of the game were almost wiped completely from memory. So therefore everyone's perceptions of insane demons are still stuck in 2015, which isn't the best position for insane demons when the world is currently having 2018's Christmas dinner. As 2.1 started approaching its end in 2019, things started to get much better, especially extreme demons, which would really not fucking go away. And for the first time in half a decade, there are actually more than 4 good extreme demons on the list at once. Insane demons got better too, but the problem is people aren't really going to care when Bloodblast has the casual 11 million views. As much as it sucks to be the case, you can't blame most players to not tell the difference between Sword Dance and F3 HCS. Not all of us have 3,000 hours in Square Game. As much as you may think this not to be the case, the average GD player isn't even old enough to surpass the Discord terms of service, and spends their days shouting low quality sus memes in the daily chat. Turns out a gaggle of year 7s is a demographic that tends not to give a shit regarding the historical significance of floating triangle collectives, more often resulting in a stubbornness mob grinder. Nobody wanted to make insane anymore, because now when someone saw that a new insane demon was released, they never ended up bothered to try it out in the excitement that one day that they might beat a fun but fair and very difficult challenge. They expected to open up the level only to find mental torture, which in 2.0 was quite accurate, but certainly isn't accurate now. Quite a few of the insane demons that came out weren't actually insane demons because they wanted to. It's because they were aiming for either a hard or extreme, or went slightly too far in either direction. For a long time, whenever people saw a level was an insane demon, their reaction wasn't, oh, an insane demon. It was more along the lines of, Oh, it's an insane demon. The period for when insane demons were used to grind out shallow and lifeless demonless placements were too much for insane demons to handle, and no one really shook the reputation that they picked up from this time. People like Hyde stuck with them despite how the community treated insane demons, but the Geometry Dash community never viewed these levels as good insane demons. They viewed them as good levels that had the misfortune of being insane demons. They were seen as the exception. Also, Boy the Cones was there, so that didn't help. What I said about insane demons at the start of this video could not be more true. This pattern even happens with the non-demon levels. The easier 2 and 3 star levels easily get more attention compared to 8 and 9 stars, as well as easier median demons being more popular than insane demons. I know I disregarded difficulty being a factor earlier, but I can't ignore it completely. If you look at the more popular regular insane demons versus the more unpopular insane levels, no levels even come close to the exception of Supersonic. Less people play insane demons because they're harder. It's just a part of the skill bell curve we can't ignore. The reason extreme demons are popular in the first place is just too obvious to even mention. It's in the name. It's at the extreme end of difficulty. Although less extreme demons have been made than insane demons, I think that number is misleading. First, because I mentioned earlier, for a longest time, insane demons basically were extreme demons. And second, because the interest for extreme demons at every single point of GD history has been higher than insane demons. And anyone that disagrees can happily look at this low resolution JPEG to disprove that real quick. Despite all the hype extreme demons get on the daily, most people don't actually play them, anywhere past 5% or so. The most people actually see into them is just a single 600 attempt practice run and then they call it a day. Most players can't actually hate on bad gameplay in extreme demons because they're not even good enough to play any of them. So the bad gameplay seen in extreme demons ends up getting overlooked in the favour of shitting on some dude that dared to have too many fucking ship sections in his level. Insane demons are in the pit of eternally fucked right now, where they're just accessible enough for any decent player to have a good shot at them, but they're just hard enough for those same players to confuse hard gameplay with bad gameplay. Either way, there's gonna be dissonance between the player and the creator, and no one ever fucking wins. Insane demons haven't improved because they suck, they haven't improved because the community doesn't let them. They've just been so used to insane demons sucking, whenever they actually get better, confirmation bias and selective memory overtook and kept the insane demon hate train rolling. Forever. People ignore things how insane demons are objectively the best gameplay for complexity and experimentation. People ignore how they objectively have the most freedom for the creator to do what they want with their gameplay. People ignore how they don't even need a verifier to be completed. People ignore the great experiential levels that use insane difficulty to its fullest. Look at this level here. Salo by, fucking this dude. This level's fucking great. It is such a great experimental level that capitalizes on every single thing Insane Demons has to offer. I'm generally not a fan of these super out there artsy fartsy levels, but Salo easily gets my seal of approval. The gameplay is so out there and weird, and the design and effects carry that theme to this crazy extreme. Man, this level is so great. Anyone mind guessing how many downloads this level has? Well, if you guessed under 10,000, you would be spot on. Right now, Solo has only about 6% of the downloads that I got off of Midnight Vibes, a level where I forgot which direction the 3D was supposed to go, all just because one of them was harder than the other. It's just insane how much difficulty affects the amount of traction the level receives. Oh wait a minute, I just noticed that someone made an auto of my level. Oh, of course they spell an error. Kinda fucking hilarious. Creators don't want to put hundreds of hours in their levels only to have them dismissed by nonchalant player number 457, just thinking it's going to be another episode of early 2.0 theatre, the statement that hasn't been true in half a decade. Sometimes I see this discrepancy and wish that people didn't predetermine their opinions on levels based on what difficulty it was, but I know that's impossible. If there's anything I've learned from Tumblr is that people are obsessed with labels. Not just a single group of people that we can all collectively point and laugh at, but it's fucking everybody. We all do it. I've just realized that I've only mentioned bad things about extreme demons in this video, besides literally just 2 levels, and that's misleading. There are in fact many good extreme demons out there, just like insane demons. It's just a matter of finding them. Something I recommend more people should really be doing. Too many people only play levels that they see in attractive eye-catching thumbnails from showcase channels such as Nexus or Partition. A lot of people forget that a lot of the fun from this game is made from the different experiences that we all have individually. If we all play the same levels, then are we even distinct people at that point? Us players have got to get our own original taste, you know? That's what makes us people. If I could only ask one thing of you, it would to boot up Geometry Dash once more and do something new. Go to the search bar and hit the insane demon filter. Go to a random page, preferably at 9 PM with a nice warm beverage beside you. You may surprise yourself with what you may find. It may be something special you remember for a long time. You'll never know what you'll find in the abyss. Happy hunting.